The water around us began to glow. Not bright like a flashlight, but a sick, pale green that came from nowhere and everywhere at once. Our flashlights flickered and died, one after another, until the only light left was that ghostly glow. We were deep under the black ocean, standing on the deck of a ship that was never supposed to sail again. The Haunted Shipwreck. The rotten wood under my boots felt solid, like it was alive again. Broken railings had somehow grown back. The torn sails above us were full and tight, even though there was no wind this far underwater. Beside me, my best friends Emma and Noah stared in horror as shadowy figures began to form out of the foggy green light. At first they looked like smoke. Then like people. Then like not people. Their faces were gray and wet, like they had been underwater for 100 years. Seaweed hung from their clothes. Their empty eyes glowed the same sick green as the water. And they were all staring straight at us. Somewhere above, high in the darkness, a bell began to ring. Dong. 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 The legend was real, Emma whispered through her regulator. Her voice shook in my earpiece. Jake, they're all real. The ghost crew began to move toward us, step by slow step. The ship creaked and groaned, even though there was no wind, no waves, nothing but freezing, heavy water pressing in from all sides. Then the crowd of drowned sailors split down the middle. Something bigger was walking through them. A shape in a long, torn coat. A captain's hat. A rusted metal wheel chain still wrapped around his chest like he'd gone down with the ship, still chained to the wheel. The dead captain of the Haunted Shipwreck. He stopped only a few feet away from me. His jaw creaked open, and black water poured from his mouth like he was still drowning. Who dares? A voice echoed in my head, old and angry and cold. Who dares wake my ship? I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. All I could do was stare as his hand, bone wrapped in rotten skin, rose toward my face. And then, just before he touched my mask, everything went dark. 3 days earlier, I thought the Haunted Shipwreck was just a dumb story adults used to scare kids. It started on a sunny afternoon in a small beach town on the coast of Maine, where waves were gentle and tourists bought too much ice cream. My name is Jake Miller, I'm 14, and up until that week my biggest problem was math homework. Emma, Noah, and I had just finished helping out at my uncle's scuba shop. We were sitting on the dock, feet dangling over the water, when Uncle Tom came outside carrying an old, dusty wooden chest. Careful with that, Tom, Old Man Harris called from a bench nearby. Some legends are better left at the bottom of the sea. That got my attention. Uncle Tom laughed, but his eyes looked, not exactly joking. It's just a map, Harris. Kids like stories. Stories? Harris snorted. That ship took a whole crew with her. You show them that map, and you're not telling them a story. You're inviting them. Inviting us to what? Emma asked, pushing her glasses up. Harris looked at us for a long time, his blue eyes pale and serious. To meet the horrifying legend of the Haunted Shipwreck. Noah grinned. That sounds awesome. It's not awesome, Harris said sharply. It's cursed. He stood up, grabbed his cane, and walked away, muttering to himself. Uncle Tom sighed and set the chest on a crate. He loves drama, he said, but his voice was quiet. Still, he's not totally wrong. The Grey Widow is different. The Grey Widow? I asked. The ship, Uncle Tom said, sank about 100 years ago. Storm came out of nowhere. People say strange things happened that night. Lights on the water. Voices in the fog. No bodies ever found. Just gone. He opened the chest. Inside was an old, cracked leather notebook and a roll of yellowed paper tied with string. The air around it smelled like salt and dust and something else, like a basement that had been locked for too long. This is the captain's log, Uncle Tom said, tapping the notebook. And this is the last map anyone ever made of where the ship went down. Emma and I leaned in. Noah whistled. The map showed a spot miles off the coast, marked with a small black X and a faded note in shaky handwriting. Do not dive here. She does not sleep. My heart thumped a little faster. Can we go? Noah asked. Like, just to see it? Not to go down. Just to check it out. Uncle Tom hesitated. No. Absolutely not. That area is dangerous. Currents are strange. Compasses don't work right. Even the Coast Guard avoids it at night. He closed the chest. Hard. Forget about it, he said. Some legends are not for kids. Which, of course, made us want to go even more. That night, after my parents went to sleep, my phone buzzed. Noah, we have to find that wreck. Emma, we'll be careful. Daytime. Just a quick trip. We're good divers. Noah, think about it, Jake. If we find it, we'll be the first kids ever to see the haunted shipwreck for real. I stared at the dark ceiling. I knew it was a bad idea. I also knew I was going to say yes. 3 days later, the sky over Maine was no longer sunny. Heavy gray clouds pressed down on the ocean as our small boat bounced over the waves, heading straight toward the black X from the map. The wind was sharp. The water was colder than usual. The compass on the console spun slowly in circles, even though the engine hummed steady. Emma checked the GPS, then looked up, her face pale. We're here, she said. Right over the wreck. I peered over the side. The water below us looked darker than it should, like a hole in the ocean. Then, deep below, something flashed. A green light, faint and far away. The boat rocked, harder this time, like something big had moved under us. The engine sputtered. The GPS froze. The compass spun faster. Dong. A bell rang once across the empty water. There were no other boats in sight. Tell me you heard that, Noah whispered. Before I could answer, the green light below us grew brighter, and the shadow of a giant ship slowly appeared beneath our boat. The darkness swallowed us whole. One moment the green light was glowing beneath us, and the next, it surged upward like a rising wave and yanked us straight into the water. I didn't remember falling. I didn't remember the splash. All I knew was the sudden cold, sharp, freezing cold, and the feeling that something was pulling us downward faster than gravity ever could. My flashlight flickered on as I kicked hard to steady myself. Emma and Noah were right beside me, wide-eyed behind their masks. The boat above us was gone from sight, swallowed by dark water and swirling green fog. And just below us, the full shape of the haunted shipwreck, the Grey Widow, rose out of the shadows like a sleeping giant. Its sails billowed underwater as if blown by a ghostly wind. Its ropes swayed as if moved by invisible hands. The ship's long wooden body was broken in places, yet somehow still alive. The front of the ship, carved into the shape of a woman with her face covered by a hood, stared emptily into the dark. Emma grabbed my arm. Jake, look! Words were glowing across the hull, words carved into the wood itself, shining with that same pale green light. Do not wake her. My heart hammered so loud I could hear it inside my head. But the glow kept growing brighter, wrapping around the entire ship like a cold underwater fire. We hovered there for a moment, frozen with fear. Noah's voice finally crackled through my earpiece. We should go back up, he whispered. We shouldn't be here. He was right. But when Emma turned to swim upward, something stopped her. A hand. A gray, dripping, ghostly hand grabbed her ankle. She screamed, an awful, muffled sound through her regulator, and kicked wildly. The ghost sailor pulling her looked like the ones we saw earlier, a sunken face, hollow eyes, seaweed tangled in its hair. But this one moved faster. Much faster. I rushed toward them, grabbing Emma's arm with one hand and Noah with the other so we wouldn't get separated. The ghost sailor yanked again, dragging Emma toward the deck of the Grey Widow. No, no, no! Emma cried. Let me go! Her voice trembled so much it barely sounded like her. I pulled. Noah pulled. But the ghost was stronger than both of us. Then, dong! The bell rang again. Once. Twice. The entire ocean seemed to vibrate from it. The ghost sailor froze. Its grip loosened. And slowly, It let Emma go, sinking back toward the deck like it had been called by someone else. Someone above it. Someone in control. Emma clung to us, shaking. "We have to leave," she said breathlessly. "Now." But something strange happened when we turned around. Our boat, our entrance point, was nowhere above us. The surface had shifted, like we were no longer in the same place we entered. It felt like the ocean itself had moved us. "We're stuck," Noah whispered. "Unless we go inside the ship." He wasn't suggesting it because he wanted to. He suggested it because there was nowhere else left to go. We floated toward the deck carefully, staying together. Every plank of wood creaked under the water. Every rope trembled. The ship moaned like it had lungs. As we reached the deck, the green glow lit up again. A large wooden door at the back of the ship, leading into the captain's quarters, slowly swung open on its own. Creak! Cold bubbles drifted out of the doorway. Emma swallowed. "It wants us to go in." "I don't think it wants," Noah whispered. "I think it expects." We floated closer, our flashlights shaking in our hands. The hallway beyond the door was long and dark, covered in moss and broken lanterns. A trail of glowing green footprints, like someone had recently walked through, led deep inside the ship. My breathing felt too loud in my mask. The ocean was too quiet. Then a soft whisper echoed around us. "Turn back, while you still can." Emma gasped. "Who said that?" But there was no one there. No ghost sailor. No captain. Just the hallway and the glowing footprints. We followed the trail slowly, nervously, until it stopped at a heavy door with a cracked window. Something moved on the other side, something big enough to shake the water around us. Before we could swim away, the door burst open, and a massive shadow lunged out of the darkness straight toward us. The shadow rushed toward us so fast that all three of us screamed into our masks. I threw my arms up to shield my face, expecting claws, or a ghostly hand, or the dead captain himself. But the thing shot right past us. A blur of black and green. When it finally stopped, hovering in the dark water ahead, our flashlights revealed what it really was. A woman. A ghostly woman in a long torn dress, her hair floating around her like seaweed. Her eyes glowed bright green, brighter than any of the sailors we had seen. Her hands dripped black water that didn't mix with the ocean, like it was alive on its own. Emma whispered, "Is that the Grey Widow?" The woman turned her head slowly, her face pale and cracked like old porcelain. She stared at us, not angry like the drowned sailors, but sad. Deeply sad. When she opened her mouth, no sound came out. Just bubbles. Thousands of them. Then she pointed behind us. We spun around. And there he was. The dead captain, drifting through the hallway without moving his legs. His coat dragged behind him like a shadow. The wheel chain around his chest rattled even though there was no current. "You were warned," the captain growled. His voice didn't come from his mouth. It appeared inside our heads like thunder underwater. "The ship sleeps for a reason." The Grey Widow slipped between us and the captain, raising her arms like she was protecting us. The green glow around her brightened until the entire hallway lit up like lightning. The captain snarled. "She has chosen you? Foolish spirit." The ship groaned violently, the wood bending and twisting like something huge was waking inside its walls. Cracks shot across the hallway. Lanterns burst. The floor split open beneath us, releasing a rush of cold, dark water that swept in all directions. "Jake, swim!" Noah shouted. We kicked hard, grabbing Emma as the hallway collapsed behind us. The Grey Widow floated backward, motioning for us to escape, while she held the dead captain in place. But just as we reached the exit, a massive piece of the ceiling snapped free and crashed down, blocking our path completely. We were trapped inside the haunted shipwreck. Emma looked at me, terrified. "What do we do now?" Before I could answer, the wood beneath us cracked, and the floor gave way, dropping us into a deeper, darker part of the ship we didn't even know existed.